Hi, welcome. So happy to see you all. We're going to talk about energy. So for anybody who's standing in the hallway and wants to listen to some news and some good things and some innovation around energy, here's the time and the place. We're hearing a lot about renewable energy these days, and we're here to explore whether renewable energies on their own can stand ground, or if we actually need to keep and stick to some of the traditional methods as well. So we have three experts with us here today. I'm actually going to let them introduce themselves, but just first a few words on Brave. I'm with Brave Industries, and we're an energy provider. We integrate different energy resources, such as natural gas and renewables, to power up industrial infrastructure. And so the industrial centers that we build, they can actually contain data centers, manufacturing, and CEA. This is a model that works well in the United States. Here we're in Europe, so there's a lot of different policies and a lot of different politics that we're going to get into, but we're also going to hear about some live examples of what these experts are working on today. So why don't we start with some introductions. Lawrence, do you want to begin?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Lawrence. I'm working for Boerenbond, the largest farmers organization in Belgium. Who already knows Boerenbond? Hands up, Boerenbond Belgium. All right, some more work to do, but all right, at least there's still a few of them. So I work for Boerenbond. I'm team leader of Team Climate and Technology. We are 15 professionals who work on all the teams involving climate and technology, such as soil, water, emission, carbon footprint calculation, and of course, also on energy. What do I want to achieve? I want to give our members, we have 16,000 members, a wide range of services and to make them well known and easy accessible. And that's actually quite a challenge. There's a lot of information. There are more people working around agriculture than there are actual farmers, also today. So many information around at GreenTech. Go find your specific kind of information that you need. That's a challenge. So within my team, I want to make sure that my colleagues are known to them. We also have an energy expert. He's actually over there. Hi, Martin, wave over there. He's the one who actually knows something about energy. I'm just talking about it. What do I do in my spare time might also be useful. I'm a father of two, so I don't actually have any spare time. If I do, I like playing video games, stuff like Farming Simulator or Trade Simulator, stuff like that.
Thank you so much. Sander?
Yeah, so my name is Sander Mertens, and I'm the director of our Center of Expertise Mission Zero at the Hague University of Applied Sciences. We're busy with sustainability issues in the most broad sense, social, technical, economical. All the disciplines are involved, and I'm one of the professors of this Center of Expertise. I'm the professor of energy in transition and busy with agriculture a lot.
Thank you. What do you do in your spare time?
I like do biking, hiking, being in nature, and also repairing old stuff, second-hand stuff like bikes, or I just installed a second-hand heat pump in my house. I installed second-hand solar panels. It's all possible.
See, the reason I'm asking that question is because it's the only way you are going to remember who these people are afterwards. It's magical. You can find everything else online about them, but that particular question will actually remind you of sitting in this panel.
It's not so well known.
Please go ahead, Martin.
Hello, I'm Martin. I'm a research leader at Inagro for Control Environment Agriculture. Inagro, we are a research center. You can place it a bit between academia and the farmers themselves. So we do really practical applied research. And we also bring questions from the farmers to academia and the other way around. So we are really that in between that translates the knowledge from academia to the farmers and the other way around. We also have the largest rooftop greenhouse at Inagro, which is called Agrotopia, and there we try to demonstrate the newest technologies for greenhouse farming, and that's also where this project, the Greenhouse project, comes from, that we try to see how renewable energy sources can heat up greenhouses. Like, we are also connected to a waste incinerator, to the heat network of them, so we don't burn any fossil fuels at our greenhouse, and by demonstrating this we try to really make the sector more sustainable. And my hobbies. Well, I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, so it's mainly driving around with the kids and bringing them to their different hobbies. So I feel for Laurens as well. So
it's okay, your time will come. So I want to start a little bit bigger. Like, when we talk about the energy transition, everybody has a lot of different opinions or definitions. But Sander, I want to hear from you what you mean by energy transition.
Yeah, so basically we used until now lots of fossil fuels, and because of that we emitted lots of CO2 in the atmosphere, which results in climate change. We now face well, quite severe climate change, and we all have to adapt to this adaptation, and we need to mitigate on the same time the issues, the CO2 emission. So we need to change towards renewables. That's the energy transition. The transition from the old fossil fuels towards renewables without CO2 emission.
So we're going to get into more of the combination of different sources of energy, but I can agree with that description as a whole, but I would assume you also think there's more to it. Can you just shed a little bit more light on, because it's not an easy thing, right?
No, it's not an easy thing. That's why it's going, in fact, too slow. It gets more severe. The climate change gets more severe. For instance, if the ice melts, there's less reflection of the solar energy, and we warm up even faster. So yeah, I'm quite worried about this, and yeah, we try to change this and have impact with our research. For instance, lots of research in the western part of our country with the greenhouse industry, where we try to yeah, to have the energy transformation there.
Thank you. So Laurens, when you're thinking about the energy transition, I know that you have some real examples of where you're actually trying to implement some of the research that's been done. Talk to us about farm communities. Is that an example of this?
Yeah, definitely. So we at Boerenbond, we are not the biggest energy experts. We are experts in bringing people together. And energy communities is one way of doing that. We are working on energy communities about 10 years in different kinds of European projects. And now we can see the first real results within some of our farmers. I'm going to give an example. We were very involved with a startup of Halnet. Halnet is an energy corporation existing of 20 farmers and about 40 citizens. It's just in a small neighborhood in Hoogstraten, in a municipality in the province of Antwerp. And it was in the year 2015, there was a risk that our nuclear plants would drop out. There would be a shortage of energy, and that specific area would be the first one who would, where they would take the electricity to prevent the blackout. And that was the first trigger point for that community. We need to do something about the energy providing ourselves. We have to do it ourselves. We can't depend on government, and we can't expect that energy will be there always. We have to do something, produce it ourselves. That was a starting point. We got involved, and we were just talking about what are all the possibilities. And the first thing, it was 2015, 2016, was there is possibilities for more solar, just simple photovoltaics. We were talking about that, and we found out that there were a lot of logical places where more photovoltaics could be placed, but there were some kind of issues. A lack of knowledge, a lot lack of knowledge. Farmers have to know so much about so many different kind of topics. We can't expect of them to be energy experts. But there's also, in some cases, lack of the finance. Agriculture is a very different of a hard economic business. Some sectors, pigs, rabbits, stuff like that, they haven't made money in several years, so there isn't money to invest in something. What can we do to help those farmers? Then we started with energy communities, where we were thinking those farmers can be part of the community, and we're going to bring in experts about energy, and we're going to find people with money, and in this case, just the neighborhood around. And it was actually a third-party financing, so the citizens paid for the solar panels on those rooftops of the farms. In return, the farmers paid a yearly lease. And in that way, there was more energy produced. The emissions were lowered on those farms, even though that those farmers didn't have any knowledge or any money. But because cooperation, knowledge sharing, there was something achieved.
So what you're observing here is obviously somebody who's talking about, like, what is this energy transition? What's this thing that we all need to move through? Down to an example of tangibly sorting something out in a specific location. There's a lot of different pieces that need to come together. We have the global movement, we have the policies, we have the economics, and the actual energy solutions. Just from you all in the audience, who here is a tech provider of anything at this show, really? Raise of hands, tech providers? Okay, do we have any farmers here? Or growers? Or operators? Okay, help me out here. Who else can we have in the audience? Greenhouse builders, well, that's kind of techy as well. Do we have academia? Yeah, researchers? And
municipalities.
Municipalities, good. Okay, so there's a few, but that's the point, right? We need to get all of you to speak the same language. We need to bring all of you together by talking about these topics, because what Lauren just explained is extremely complex, and that is one example, right? So when we have people like you after this, you need to pay attention to who is here and who has listened to this, because you have to talk to each other. We here, even through research and doing and implementing, we cannot do this on our own. So that's why this conversation is so incredibly important. Martin, on policies, I want to talk about that just for a little bit. As they're changing, policies are changing in the US, maybe not in the same direction as they're changing in Europe. Let's put it that way. So from your perspective on policies, what is it that you see, both how is it affecting the growers today, the builders of, and then also what are we asking for from the policymakers?
It's a very important topic, the policy, because it really affects the business model for farmers themselves. So let's say you're a new farmer, you want to build a new greenhouse, buy all the tech you need, then you look, okay, what are my profits going to be, what is my cost structure? Then you look, okay, what is the taxing system on gas, electricity? What do I need to install lights or not? So a lot of new farmers, especially in fruit vegetables, they build CHPs. Sometimes that's also a requisite from banks that they say you need a CHP because only then you will be profitable. So they make a lot of investments, and then if the government, for example, says, okay, climate change is important, we are not reaching our climate goals, okay, maybe we can go electric. So we should change then the taxing system. We maybe need to tax more on gas and lower the taxes on electricity. But then at the same time, those farmers who just invested, their whole business model is turned upside down. Yeah. So we really cannot lose that in our view, because if they are not profitable anymore because of policy changes, yeah, you lose your local food production, the livelihood of the farmers. So the policy really needs to think about what are mitigating steps that they can take. Do they need to subsidize some things? Do they need to have more support? In France we have Vliefsteun, so it's type of subsidies that they can get to really change the way that they can go electric, for example. If you have CHP plant, you have these big heating pipes, but if they say, oh, you need to switch to heat pumps, but then the heat that you can get is lower, so you need to go smaller heating pipes. So a lot of infrastructure needs to change before you can really make that transition. That is where policy really needs to think about what are the effects of the decisions that we take and what are the effects of the effects, and really think ahead.
Thank you. Does he,
Can
yeah,
I-
do you
can I
want to add
add,
something,
Eva?
please?
Because it's very important that we see that it's that it needs the involvement of lots of disciplines and not only the tech, like the focus of this here. It's green tech. Well, that's very important, but the issues that we have to solve are economical, technical, social, and mostly also issues on law with these changes. So we need to integrate them all to achieve in our goals.
Yeah, no, and I think as we move from the policies into the economics of things, around policies and economics, Lawrence, do you have anything that you want to add on that?
Yeah, sure. Policy makes some kind of decision based on a theoretical goal that needs to be achieved, and that has to be translated to what is possible for the greenhouse sector or agriculture. But there are large farms, there are smaller farms. We know in Flanders, as a farmers organization, we have insight in what's going on at the farms. We did a study 2 years ago of the Belgian farmers, about 23,000. Only 12% of them has a successor. Only 12% of the farmers in Belgium think that they have a successor. So 88% of them don't know what will happen. And then there is some kind of challenge. In 2030 you need to do that or that or that. But that farmer doesn't know if he's going to retire in 5 years, or is going to sell his greenhouse or his farm to whoever, or just going to stop. So that makes it very difficult to follow all those different kinds of regulations or broader goals, and actually what's going to stay the same. What
Yeah.
I've learned in the 10 years that I've been an energy expert is that regulations and goals has changed all over the years.
So it
And
makes it extremely difficult for any kind of planning and to be successful. So Martin, on that, as we're thinking about if now the energy transition actually means moving to more renewables, what should the people who are planning to build out or even change from their existing energy sources into more renewables, what do they need to do in order to plan things out to be successful in your mind? And how far in advance do you have to do that? Can you start a year before and hope for the best? I mean, how long does it actually last? Because it seems like he's talking about the ebbs and flows of the policies, it's just making it more difficult.
Are you speaking from the point of view of growers or the planners?
No, from the growers, because the planners are unpredictable, that much I understand. But as the growers are planning their own operations, what do they need to keep in mind?
Well, I think they need to keep in mind that the greenhouse sector, if you look at from a European level, it's a very small sector. We are very good at growing, but from a European perspective, greenhouse sector is quite small. So I think they will keep pushing to get more carbon neutral, so that they already need to think ahead of, okay, what is the worst case scenario? Okay, we need to look for non-fossil fuels. How can we do that? And do I already change my heating system so that it's compatible, that if the CHP is no longer viable, can I change that CHP to also have biomethane or not? Or should I look already for location for my farm where there is a heat network, where there is a biogas plant nearby? So really thinking from a planning perspective ahead, where will I build my greenhouse? and should I already make my heating system compatible with renewable sources?
So it's almost like you have to do things backwards. You have to think about what you want your CO2 emissions to look like at the end of the whole thing and then plan backwards from there so that you access the right sources, right?
Yeah, I think that is what I would suggest. But Lorenz has more contact with farmers, so I don't know what he would say.
Yeah, in Belgium, involving planning of your future, revolving energy, there's actually two kind of farmers. So for the bigger energy consumption, there's actually a demand to provide some kind of study plan every 4 years to showcase that's the energy demand that you have, which that kind of demand, these are possible measures, and as a grower, most time it's growers, you have to explain why you did something or why you didn't do something. So those farmers, most of them growers with GHP, they have a build-up planning schedule every 4 years. The smaller ones, they don't, but they feel the pressure from, how do you have to say it, the sector, the dairy, what are the carbon emissions of 1 kilogram of meat, 1 liter of milk from those companies. They feel the pressure of lower your emissions so we can use it in our marketing. But what's the difficulty with those farms? They have to learn so much. There's so much administration going on. They have to be an expert in pesticides, in fertilization, administration, accounting, and that's a lot for just, most farms are just one guy, one person, or a couple. It's really difficult to be suddenly an energy expert who has to make a decision about an investment of 1 million euros. So that's actually quite difficult.
So Sander, who needs to lead the way in this conversation? I mean, if we want to bring energy to the forefront and make it one of the top priorities of anybody who's a farmer, grower, and so on, where do we begin?
Yeah, we are sure that we have to change this in order to avoid the emissions. So we are sure that we have to cut down in CO2 emissions, and quite fast probably, because of the climate change. And because of the climate change, there is also a focus on controlled environment agriculture, more and more, to have a secure food production. We are well organized in the western part, or in the Greenport with our organization Greenport West Holland. And we all work together on the focus of energy transition. We try to avoid this CO2 emission, and we change towards geothermal heat. But I would like to mention the elephant in the room. If we change from fossil energy towards renewables, there is no storage in the renewables that we have. The solar plants, the wind plants, there is no storage there. It's electricity. So there is a big change from fossil energy with storage inclusive in the energy towards renewables without storage. And we need to change towards storage too. So our focus is, we focus on geothermal heat and storage in the future.
I'm just wondering if maybe building, like you're talking about, Lawrence, like smaller centers of food and farm parks, that is setting the example from a smaller perspective and then broadcasting those so that bigger players actually embrace that concept as well, if it works. Martin, you and I were talking a little bit about sort of the future of what do we need to do? What are the different components we need to integrate into these types of parks in order to come up with solutions that are large, viable, economical, and that the policymakers can also embrace?
I think we need a lot of demonstration projects that we can really showcase. Look, here we are connected to a heat network. Our food is transported there. If we talk about renewable energy source, we also need to think about carbon dioxide. Where do we get that from? Can we get that from a renewable source? So really demonstrate it to the general public so that we can also get all the data on it, so we can make a business model of it, so that we can showcase it is possible and maybe also look at what can a product from such a renewable system cost. Because a farmer, a lot of the times, he's the last one in line to get an increase in prices for his produce. And I think we are all consumers. If you see tomatoes and suddenly the day after they are 10% more expensive, I don't think you will say, I will not buy tomatoes today. But for a farmer, that already makes a big difference. So I think we need to look at the complete chain, so really from the farmer to the end consumer, and that also the retail can play a big role in that. That they say, okay, we want to have really sustainable produce, but we also will pay the farmer a bit more. For them it will be a big cost, but then they really showcase we are really for sustainability. And the consumer, I believe they will just pay 10 cent extra.
Yeah. No, and if I may just describe a couple of words about what we do at Brave, we actually started out thinking we were going to grow fresh produce closer to consumer centers. We ran the economic models. We quickly realized we needed to produce our own energy to get the prices to where they needed to be. But as we continued to crunch numbers, we realized yet again that we needed additional income streams. So in the solutions that we're putting together, we actually look at the energy profiles of multiple different type of industrial tenants on the same campus, like I said, data centers or manufacturing, and then we overlay those energy profiles with that of what's required by the CEA to optimize the utilization. We also use, we don't produce just the electric energy, but we also always follow up with thermal. And when you start to capture all that waste heat, you can actually create a financial model that's much more viable. But these solutions are really big, and it's difficult to find them around the world. In the US, we have a lot of land, so we have a very different opportunity than most regions here in Europe. But the waste heat is still a very serious topic of conversation because any manufacturing or data center, they produce a lot of waste heat. And all of that can be captured, upgraded, and pushed through absorption chillers for cooling, either of a greenhouse, a CEA farm, and or the data center itself. So we're working towards that, but they're big undertakings, right? So let's talk a little bit about waste heat. If you don't mind, would you like to start?
Well, if it doesn't go too technical.
No, we don't have to go too technical. Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, you're thinking about it, because there is a lot of that, and there's a lot of policies in Germany right now for where they can't build data centers unless they capture 70% of the waste heat, for example. That sounds like a nice opportunity to put up more CEA in my ears.
Yeah, definitely. So I talked a bit about Agrotopia. So we are a rooftop greenhouse. So we are on top of another building. And the building below us, they have a CHP because they really need their electricity. But all that heat, they just otherwise would vent it outside. So all that heat is lost. But we use that heat to really heat our greenhouse as well. So we are connected to a heat network from the waste incinerator, but also to the waste heat of a CHP. And we really believe in the future because Flanders, it is really densely populated, not a lot of free space. But we have a lot of industrial zones as well. And the top layer, mostly, it is just empty. So can you use that top layer to build greenhouses there? Because the heat is below. Maybe you can exchange water as well. You have a lot of concrete and roads already, so the logistics is all already taken care of. So at Inagro, and also by showcasing Agrotopia, I really believe the future of agriculture can really be combining industrial zones with agriculture, and especially then the greenhouses and also vertical farms.
Thank you. Sanders, what do you think?
Yeah, so I need to add a little on geothermal heat. We use lots of geothermal heat, but that's a base load. And our biggest need is during the winter months, the cold and dark winter months, where we need most heat and electricity. So we added waste heat to this geothermal heat. It's a bit more peaky during the winter months, but still not enough for the peak production in the winter months. And so we have to add fossil energy to this too, fossil gas. And that needs to change, of course, but until now we are not able to manage the peak demand during the winter months. So that's a bigger focus for the next decades. Yeah, peak focus is very important. Mostly the energy companies are only focused on the base load, which is a good business case. But peak loads are very important. We now face quite severe grid congestion in the Netherlands. There is almost no capacity left on the electricity grid, just because of the transport of energy and the peak issues. So we need to spread that and have storage included.
No, and I think that the grid issue is really the reason we're having this conversation, right? We need to think about how to generate using microgrids behind the meter.
Exactly. Keep it more local and avoid transport. So in the Netherlands, we also have to change the focus of CHP with fossil energy. Until now, it worked very well. Growers earned a lot of money from the CHP installations, but it needs to be emission-free. So perhaps in the future with, for instance, fuel cells, it can be changed, but until now the economics are not that good. But with better business cases, we have a project on this with one of the farmers in the Netherlands. It's really possible. So you need to think about value creation and better business cases in order to have this viable, but it's possible.
And I think also when we're thinking about transport, it's not just the transport of the actual produce from the farm to the table, right? It's the transport of energy. It's the transport of CO2. It's the transport of all the inputs that we need at the farm.
It's the change to e-mobility, for instance, too, which is a big change for the electricity grid. If all the trucks come and want to offload and they directly want to move ahead and go back again, we have lots of big peak loads on the electricity grid, and until now we can't deal with that. So big changes together with the energy transition.
Yeah, thank you. Lawrence?
Yeah, the CHP discussion is quite a difficult one. So we want to get rid of fossil fuels, everybody understands that, but the CHP for our greenhouse holders also produce CO2, which is essential for our plants. So if we remove CHP, we need to get CO2 from somewhere. And lastly is the CHP, I know certainly in Belgium and the Netherlands, play a huge part in stabilizing the grid. Ask Spain what happens when there's a blackout. So it's really essential right now. CHP plays a huge role in the European energy mix and especially in the stabilization of the whole European grid. So taking away CHP will have consequences on multiple levels that I don't think that everybody is aware of right now.
Yeah, but CHP should be emission-free in the future. That's very important. One of the issues is that farmers need CO2 as a fertilizer, but that should be circular. So it should be, for instance, from the air, captured from the air.
No, for sure. And if you still are taking it off of the CHPs, you need to, I mean, you can only produce, 10 megawatts through CHP, and that will fulfill the needs of a 30-acre greenhouse. Or I think it's even bigger, maybe it's 80 acres. I mean, it's really minuscule. So when we're thinking about the power systems that Brave is building, they start at 50 megawatts, but scale up to 500 and even a gigawatt. They're enormous systems because that's what the data centers are requiring right now. So we're going to be overproducing on CO2 like nobody's business. I mean, we're all going to be drinking sparkling water. One way to sort it out, right?
Well, CHP is quite big in the Netherlands. The farmers play a big role in the energy situation. Yeah.
No, and I think that's what we're learning, right? We as a business and the Americans as a whole have spent a lot of time in the Netherlands looking at what the CHPs look like here and how exactly, to your point, they're providing support for the grids. And we don't have that in the US, and the grids right now are really struggling. And there's a lot of land that's available that doesn't even have access to power which means that there's a lot of land developers and industrial developments that are sitting without a way forward unless they set up CHPs and renewables.
But yet I'm sure that the energy transition will be in America too, and change the system there too, towards electrons instead of molecules from the fossil energy. So without storage and the same issues that we have at the moment with grid congestion. So it will be there in the future, and we need to
right
adapt.
now we're just pretending we don't have a problem. Anyway, Martin, just a few final words. We could talk about this for a long time, as you can see. This is close to our hearts. And I really wanted to spend some more time talking about agrivoltaics, but maybe we just try to round it off right now. And then you know these gentlemen's names. You can find us all online and on LinkedIn. Please reach out if you have any questions. But you want to just end with a few final words, Martin? And what would a reason be to reach out to you, maybe?
A reason to reach out, if you want to talk about the systems approach, how can we get the policy involved, technical solutions, the communities to really work together to get more carbon neutral? Then you can come to me and we can really discuss it. Because I think only with the systems approach we can reach our goals. It is not only a technical solution. It's not just, I change this technology with that and you're fine. We really need to think about what are the effects of the effects. Really thinking ahead. If we change a CHP with a heat pump, okay, we need to look at the grid, the heating grid. We need to look at how will this affect pricing, how will we affect the base load, and will we reach a peak loads again or not? So it's really thinking about all the systems together and seeing how we can reach a solution.
Thank you. Lawrence?
Well, Boerenbond is quite a big organization. We have a lot of members. We have 16,000 members, and 3,000 of them are board members. So every opinion that Boerenbond forms is not just the people working at Boerenbond, but we are in touch with all our farmers. So you must imagine in every small area of Flanders, there's a group of dairy farmers coming together, a group of greenhouse owners coming together, big farmers, they're all coming together, and we're talking about all different kinds of topics. So for new farmers or growers, join the organization, get in touch with your peers, and we'll bring in experts, innovative farmers, so you can learn about all the possibilities within your organizations. For different kinds of advisors, stakeholders, bank financing, whatever, Boerenbond has a huge network. Boerenbond also has a lot of brother and sister organizations like KBC, Arvesta, IF, a whole bunch of big family. So we know a lot of people. We have contacts in policy. We have contacts with our farmers, of course, but we have actually contacts across all agriculture, which can be useful. What are our other tasks besides representing the interests of our farmers? We give expert advice to them about different kinds of topics, but also about energy, everything involving to climate. We give training sessions, we share knowledge, and what's also very useful in these kind of debates, we have a role to create social support, bringing farmers and citizens, schools, whatever, bringing them together, so that people still know where milk is coming from, where meat is coming from, where mushrooms are coming from. We believe that it's still important to have that connection.
Thank you. And Sander?
Well, I totally agree, and I would like to focus on we need to do it together. That's why we also are here. We have an Interreg project called Greenhouse, where we share our ideas and work together in innovations and help the farmers to grow and innovate, because that's really important. And if we're not innovating, we are losing market share. So, look around here and pick up your innovations.
Yeah, we're in a hurry. All right, shake hands with each other, and let's thank the panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.